Hello, everyone, and welcome. Well, today we're going to talk about the crushing NDP BC budget, February 17th. Well, stay tuned, as I'm going to be talking about this next. If you love my rant and rave sessions, you might want to buckle up and grab a cup of coffee, hot chocolate, tea, water, maybe water, because you're going to be needing a lot of water to really quench your thirst on this one. Yeah, maybe it's breakfast time. Stay tuned.
PWD Allies, the best disability podcast in Canada. Starring your hosts, Brent Frain. And as always, his producer and editor, Neil Matheson.
The crushing effect of the BC budget 2026, February 17th, 2026. Well, fasten your seatbelts, everybody, because this session we're going to dive right into what a complete disaster this budget has been for people with disabilities in BC. I mean, beyond a slap on the face, I've never in my life, since I was a little kid, ever seen any budget worse than the one that was delivered this year. Complete disrespect for people with disabilities in BC. Adults, I'll emphasize adults with disabilities in BC that are on provincial assistance, that are not under CLBC, that don't qualify for RAP, which is the rental assistance program. They don't apply for seniors because that's the senior supplement, which is called SAFERS. Mm-hmm. Majority of PWD live in market housing. They pay high market rent, so they don't qualify for any of the items that I mentioned, the programs. They have to pay market rent because they get their shelter portion, which was in place for, 16 years or whatever it was, at $375. It finally went to $500 in 2023. But let's be honest with ourselves here. I mean, let's look back at what the rates were. So in 2017, the BC NDP came into power in conjunction with the BC Green Party. $100 increase right away. In 2018, I'm just going back memory lane, everybody, just so that people can kind of follow along. In 2018, the government claimed, well, they give a rate increase. Well, you can have $52 for a transit supplement or take a bus pass. So they claimed that was a rate increase. In 2019, $50. Right. So, I mean, rents were starting to go up at that time. I know, I lived experience. I know market rent. So $50, it pretty well covered your rent increase, depending on what your rent amount was at that time. Maybe a few bucks for groceries, but really, it didn't really give you anything for your cost of living for other essentials that in life, right? Disability-related equipment that you may need, other accessories that you may need to better to assist you in your disabilities and just your health in general. I mean, other supplements that you may need to get. And of course, then COVID hit, right? We all know about that. So really, it was 2019 was the last time something was actually in the actual budget in BC. So that's only 2 rate increases. The government claims 5 rate increases in that time frame until 2023. So 2024, nothing in the budget. 2025, nothing in the budget. And 2026, nothing again in the budget. So you see the trend going here. Nothing.
I sense a pattern, Brent.
I do. I see a sense of pattern. and when I asked the premier at the time in 2024, because in 2023 they gave that increase to our shelter, after decades. I mean, over a decade that was unfrozen, right? It was frozen in time, like the time machine. So the next year I asked, and we're always going to be here for the most vulnerable, right? Are you? Well, evidently not, right? Because then cost of living kept going up, and now we're in a housing crisis. We're in an affordability crisis in British Columbia. I mean, everywhere across our country we are, right? But
Well, let's back up a bit, Brent, and let's talk about brass tacks as to actually why it is so bad. Like I titled today's show, "It just got worse for people with disabilities," and what I mean by that is not only is the housing situation bad and it got worse, but the fact that the provincial government debt load is so bad now. We argued on the last podcast whether it was 13.3 or 13.4, and I've seen both figures cited. So it's either 13.4 or a $13.3 billion deficit, or a $13.4 billion deficit, like one of those, right? Because I've seen both posted. But I mean, we're talking huge numbers there, Brent. And the thing about a deficit like that is it really screws you over as a government as to be able to do anything. Like that was one of the comments that came out on Twitter. I saw was one of the big commentaries was, the government's going to be carrying this huge deficit, and now like all of these ministers in charge of all their files are going to have to say to people, well, I know you want me to do something, but I can't do anything because the government's got no money, and I just wanted to quickly go through the annual budgets of all the different ministries. So you have the health ministry is always number one, right? The overall budget expense for health in this budget is $37 billion. So that's the health ministry. And they said they didn't touch that, which is kind of a lie because apparently there's a lot of things that aren't getting built. Anyway, so that's $37 billion is the health budget. Then you have the education is sitting at $10 billion. And then you have, guess what the third largest ministry is, Brent? Guess what the third largest ministry is?
Social development, poverty reduction.
You are technically correct, but if the interest on the debt was a ministry, if the interest on the provincial debt was a ministry, that would be the third largest ministry in the province. So our debt interest sits at $6.5 billion. So if that was a ministry, that would be the third largest ministry expense, is our debt interest at $6.5 billion. The next largest ministry, as you said, is social services, and that's at $6 billion. So that actually sits at number 4.
So the provincial debt of the actual interest on the debt
is higher than the entire is higher than the entire value of the social services ministry.
Yeah, so it's actually almost the same, but it's still higher than that.
It's higher.
So who does the debt? Who does that debt equivalent of a ministry? Who does the debt actually talk to? Like, they don't have a minister in front of it, or
that debt does not help anyone, Brent.
No,
that debt does not help anyone. And again, you have that giant anvil sitting over the heads of all these people with disabilities. Like how are you going to help the most vulnerable people when you've got all this debt, and like all these MLAs are coming forward and saying, well, gee, I've got into politics to help people.
Yeah.
But now actually you won't be able to help people because the government's got no money.
Exactly.
Right? It's just crazy. Let's go back to the social services ministry again. It's valued again at $6 billion, and and it's kind of hard to figure this out, Brent, but I think I have kind of narrowed it down, is that $2 billion of that $6 billion is actually the welfare social income assistance. So that only accounts for 1/3 of the entire expense of the social development ministry.
Yeah. They really just chopped that right down. Like they just
I always thought that the welfare social income assistance was a higher percentage of that $6 billion, but apparently it's not. So, and I think from what I can tell is that that's $2 billion all in for the entire like including welfare, disability, everything is $2 billion.
Doesn't give them any wiggle room. Yeah.
Yeah. So that means you have $4 billion for everything else. And but what I mean by everything else, that includes like your rental assistance program, your RAP. That's separate. RAP is separate. You have any social housing is separate. That's part of the $4 billion. There, mental health and substance abuse programs, that's separate. You have some children and family stuff which would be separate. And you have, of course, you have operational costs, staffing and administration. That's separate. So you have $2 billion set aside for the actual income assistance, and $4 billion set aside for everything else.
Yeah, and then there's another part that's actually in that equation too, where there's other supplements that PWD and BC can apply for. If they have those
hidden behind the paywall.
Yeah, exactly. If they have certain conditions, they can apply for it and request that supplement to be added to their check. However, they have to have a practitioner diagnose those conditions in order to get that supplement. However, the minister did say at one point in time, then over different meetings, that you just go into the ministry. If you need a crisis supplement of $50, just go in there, no questions asked. We tested the waters on that months ago, and just recently again, no. They say no, it doesn't work that way. You can't have a pre-existing problem. I mean, knowing that, say, the government's not giving enough on your income assistance, you already know that that's already a pre-existing problem, so you don't qualify. Well, what if I run short? Then that's not a situation that they are going to deal with. I said, how about add it to the monthly check? Well, they said, that makes sense to them, but that's
too simple, Brent.
They said that's up to the minister itself to actually tell the ministry's offices. So there's a communication breakdown, and they were shocked that the minister would actually tell the client to come to the office and say, no questions asked, just say I need $50. They're not going to give you any trouble. Guess what? They do. And they question that. They will not just issue you out a crisis supplement. You say, well, I'm short money. Sorry about that. Sorry for your bad luck. I mean, if you're in a crisis situation where you have absolutely nothing, I mean nothing. And I mean, there are people who have nothing. Even then, they're going to say, well, did you already know you're going to have nothing?
Yeah.
And then you have to basically lie. You gotta lie and BS your way, and I don't like doing that. I don't want to do that.
I'm sorry. Are you living in legislated poverty? Who caused that?
Exactly.
But I'm sorry, we're not going to help you.
They would say that's an underlying issue.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of the workers at the office. They're frustrated with the government, and they work for the government, and they want to see better for the clients. They're better their well-being, health-wise, and I always talk about RGI a lot.
But just before you go there, but you mentioned an important word, which is clients, helping the clients, and I just wanted to make a distinction of when we talk about, like, again, it's $6 billion. The whole ministry is $6 billion. The social development ministry, and then I said $2 billion of that is the income assistance part, right? But then again, you have different client bases of that $2 billion. The two main ones are there's the BC PWD or PWD BC, And then there's CLBC, which is Community Living BC. And it's hard to know exactly how that pie is divided, but basically, I do want to say that I did check the numbers, and it roughly works out to this: you've got the BC PWD help support 150,000 people with disabilities in the province. Roughly, there's 150,000 people with disabilities in the province that are on BC PWD, and then you've got the clients on Community Living BC, and that supports 30,000 people. So so the BC PWD is 5 times more clients, but get this, Brent, the budgets for the two. Basically, CLBC gets almost twice as much money.
Whoa.
For almost twice as much money that is allotted to CLBC as opposed to the BC PWD.
The same ministry, yeah.
So again, you have 20% of the client base compared to the BC PWD. You only have 20% of the client base in CLBC, but yet they're almost getting double the budget of the allotted, like say $2 billion that BC compared to the PWD.
BC PWD, and yes, for our listeners and our viewers, listeners on the podcast version and our viewers watching live right now. So what Neil's describing here, under the same ministry, when they got CLBC and BC PWD, I mean, all disabled people, but ones that fall under CLBC, and there's ones that have PWD.
So CLBC is cognitive.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's the PWD who live in market housing, and then there's PWD who live in subsidized housing under the umbrella of BC Housing. Okay, we'll have RGI. Now, under the CLBC, under the same ministry, the recipients for PWD have access to RGI housing. They can still live in the same kind of housing that I live in right now, and I can tell you, there is a couple in my building that actually are on CLBC. And they live in the same building I do, but I don't qualify for CLBC. I get to pay high market rent. I don't get to pay RGI rent, right? I don't get to have rent geared to income.
I imagine that it's the same building, but different. But you get different criteria. Like you get treated differently.
Yeah.
In the same building.
Exactly.
Because you're on a different file.
Yeah, and there's SAFERs who falls under the same ministry also, because they get the same kind of the funding. And guess what? They qualify for RGI. I'm PWD.
And remind people what SAFERs is. That's a seniors. That's a senior supplement, right? And
there's a big handful of seniors in my building also, and they're baffled at why that we get to pay market rent where they get to pay RGI. I said, I know. I said, I keep advocating about that. I've talked to the minister about that. And all I get is, well, that's a brilliant idea. And that's all I hear. And nothing ever happens about it. I've had people in my community who are extremely distraught, including ourselves. And, I'll talk about this part now, and then I'll get into RGI down and further in the podcast. So on our home front, Sonia and I, we talked about this off air, and I asked her, do you mind if I talk about this? And I said, if I say something that you don't want me to say, then she said, like she'll, tell me. And she's all fine with that. She doesn't want to come on camera right now because Sonia's still suffering from a cold, everybody. She had a nasty cold. It's on the tail end. It's taken a lot out of her. Draining emotionally, getting run down, just not eating the proper foods, worrying about housing, worrying about, because we have nasty tenants who live upstairs, they're just making our lives a living hell. So we can't just up and move. Management tells us, well, if you don't like it, move to the top floor of the building or move out of the building into one of our other buildings, and we get to then pay higher market rent. Well, how do we pay higher market rent where we're already struggling now. And I mean, they would love it if we did that. They could just flip our unit over and get more money, right? So we're where we are until we can figure something out. But again, anyway, getting back to her health, I mean, Sonia, as you all know, I mean, she's come onto the podcast and talked about her diabetes. Sonia has a heart condition and diabetes. It's a hereditary condition, heart condition, diabetes. I mean, she's dealing with it the best way she can, but she needs to eat healthy food, right? She can't eat everything that I eat. I mean, so she has to eat certain things that sometimes that will keep her blood sugar levels at a moderate level, because otherwise numbers will spike high, or she's gonna have a sugar low. Trying to moderate to figure out the kind of foods that she needs to eat to moderate it, because if she eats certain things that are going to elevate it, well, now she has to give herself more insulin, and guess what? It compounds, and now it actually puts more strain on her health. Well, my motto is, and I've talked to the ministry about this before, and so has Sonia, is you increase the rate, you make it so that people can buy and shop for healthy items in the community that they live in or other surrounding areas. It's not rocket science, right?
If people stay healthier, they stay out of the hospital, which means it costs the government less money.
Less money in the health.
I mean, again, like you said, it's not rocket science, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
and and I remember years ago, workers would say, "Oh well, budget better, do better, budget better." Well, here's a little. That's like calling the kettle black. I mean, to the government, budget better, do better.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, really, like you had a $6 billion surplus, and now it's a $13.3 billion deficit. I question that $13.3 billion.
Well,
I think that number is a lot higher.
Yeah, and let's circle back to the actual budget again, Brent, because because there was a lot of things that were cut from the budget. First of all, we have to say that there's $800 million of new taxes will be generated.
Oh, yes.
800 million, roughly, right? But we have Claire Rattay, or Rattay, is it Rattay? Claire Rattay?
Rattay,
I'm not sure. I think it's Rattay. Claire Rattay. Sorry if I butchered the name. I think it's Rattay. She's the BC Conservative MLA for Skeena. And she's the critic for mental health, addictions, and supportive housing. And she says, yes, the government has, because they have $1 billion of new government spending, they said, quote unquote, $1 billion of new government spending. But in order to get there, they also had to cut $1.4 billion of other spending.
Yeah.
and guess where they cut it, Brent? The BC NDP canceled 1.4 billion. 1.4. This is in one thing alone. They cut $1.4 billion in community housing funding. I mean, community housing is a huge piece.
One of my neighbors is extremely pissed. I mean, beyond, like, I've never heard since my mom lectured me, the words that came out of his mouth. Oh my gosh, when he heard that, he says people need affordable housing. They need housing getting built, and they scrapped that program.
Yeah.
I said, oh my gosh, and here's another kicker. His brother was an MLA years ago under the Gordon Campbell government.
Oh, okay.
So he knows he'd come home and he would hear about a lot of different things going on. And I tell you, like, his head would just spun. And actually, he actually was a member of parliament way back when himself, over decades. And so he says, I know how the system works. And he goes, the government could easily raise your guys' rates right now if they chose to. He said they're just balancing the budget on the backs of the disabled.
It's just priorities, right? And we mentioned this on the last podcast, but let's remind people again that basically the provincial government on this proposed budget, it has still to be approved, but the budget as it's proposed right now, they're only punishing the lowest tax bracket, right? They're basically punishing people that are making $50,000 or less. That's the only tax bracket that got a income tax increase. Is the lowest one, and not only that, again, we talked about the the seniors aren't going to be able to defer their property tax anymore, and the retort that came back from the budget officer was, well, there's a lot of rich seniors that were abusing that. That. And I'm thinking to myself, like that's an oxymoron. Like how many rich seniors do you know, Brent? I know zero.
I know zero,
including my own parents.
Yeah, exactly.
The only way that you can call seniors rich is, yes, seniors are house rich. That's true. If they happen to have a house, they are house rich, but income poor, right?
Exactly.
So like my parents, I think they're, I don't even know. I think it's approaching like $2 million in worth of their house now. I'm not even sure. It's definitely over $1 million, but by quite a bit. So it's in the neighborhood of $1 million to $2 million. I don't even know, but it's high. It's high. So they bought the house for $200,000, I think, and so now it's like approaching $2 million in worth. So they're paying $2 million of property tax every year. I mean, and again, they are the typical senior citizen. And I'm telling you, Brent, the typical senior citizen is not rich.
No, far from it. Far from it.
So for the budget, for the what's her name again? I'm blanking. But for Brenda Bailey to say
budget,
that all these rich seniors are abusing that deferral, I mean, that's just
wrong.
I mean, that made me want to vomit in my mouth when I heard that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she might be referring to the top 1%.
The Bill Gates of the world, sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's so misleading because it's taxing the ones that can least afford it the most. And the other part too is the minister was asked by some of the media a day before the budget, is there going to be any tax? And I saw this on the news too. And
I saw it too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, some of the the media will say, well, this or that. So I saw it on the news. I mean, you saw it. I mean, Sonia saw it. I mean, some of our neighbors even saw it because I brought it to their attention too. Like, I was watching on the news, and we were talking about that there's going to be no new tax. Guess what? And it was actually there was some advocates that were in my building yesterday that I was talking to about housing. And I dropped the talk about, we were talking about that there's not going to be no new taxes. Well, guess what? They even saw it, everybody. I think everybody saw it. And so the minister is saying, oh, well, no, there's not going to be new taxes. We don't want to increase taxes because I hear that people don't want that. But then I also hear that people say, well, yeah, they want more taxes because they want to have the services that they count on. So we're not going to do not either. We're going to go right down the middle. Well, guess what? The minister actually did exactly the first part. Yes, they actually did do new taxes.
But let's only punish the lowest tax bracket. So they've increased taxes $800 million to the lowest tax bracket.
Oh yeah.
And they're still going to run a $13.3 billion deficit.
And that number is going to be climbing even higher.
And I did make notes here, Brent, talking about the deficit. And again, this debt is what's going to be affecting particularly the most vulnerable, including you and me, Brent, like people with disabilities. And we have something here called the Business Council of British Columbia. They put out a statement. And they said provincial finances remain on track. This is a quote, by the way. Provincial finances remain on track for a fifth consecutive credit rating downgrade, a fifth consecutive, Brent, credit rating downgrade that will further increase the cost of debt servicing. So that's 5 credit downgrades in just over 3 years.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
The credit downgrades
Very bad look.
Credit downgrades did not start until when, Brent? Until
David Eby took over as premier.
That's exactly right. It was after John Horgan was forced to step down due to health reasons.
Yeah.
He stepped down, and then the credit downgrades did not happen until David Eby took over. So there's been 5 consecutive credit downgrades since David Eby took the reins as premier. And what does he keep saying, Brent? He keeps saying BC is the economic engine of Canada.
Yeah, they're
and
leading.
To that I call bullshit, Brent.
Yeah,
I call bullshit because you don't go through 5 credit downgrades and post a $13.4 billion deficit and say that you are the economic engine of Canada.
Yeah, and that's price tag there. I mean, that's just on the operating costs. And then we look at the infrastructure budget, and that is ballooning up so big. We talked about this.
We're
on
almost
the last
at $200 billion.
Yeah, it's going to be over $200 billion projected.
And let's remind people when John Horgan took over, it was under 90 billion. It was 89 billion.
Yeah.
And so it's almost double. Actually, it's over doubled. It's over doubled because now it's 190 billion. So that's over doubled. It's gone up by $100 billion. $100 billion increase in 3 years.
Yeah. And what did we see for it?
I mean, I can't see a difference, but I can see it's worse. I can look out my window and say, you know what? Holy, my outside is worse. Like I see people on drugs and they're like I said before, they're like statues and they're slumped over, on a hit of what is that? Some drug where they're just kind of catatonic. I see that all the time now. And there's needles and human shit everywhere, and I'm the starter president this year, and we're dealing with like so many homeless people trying to break into the garage and needles and setting fires and all that kind of stuff down in the garage. I mean, you have all that street disorder and smashing of window, like just here in Newton where I am. I go and get a haircut. I've said this before. Where I get a haircut, every time I go by the haircut, the hairdresser tells me, "Oh, somebody smashed some more windows today." And it's just for a fact it's people that are drugged out of their minds because David Eby thought it would be a brilliant idea. He was the one that thought it would be a brilliant idea to get everybody drugged out of their minds, and yet he's the one. And this is turning into a rant and rave. Sorry.
No, it's okay. And we should say, so he's created all this street disorder, and he's increasing. He's going to charge a GST tax now. On every store owner that wants to boost up their security with security guards now, they're going to have to pay an additional 7% tax on that now. On the PST and so I'm glad that you mentioned that. Here's the ripple.
You can't make this stuff up, Brent. You can't make this stuff up.
No, exactly. And I was talking to one of my manager one day about this before the budget came out, and I said, she said, everything going okay? And I said, my anxiety is, I was getting, you get that butterfly, feeling in your tummy, that something's going to be off, and she said, don't worry. I mean, the government will find a way in the budget, not to worry. They'll find a way. They'll increase.
I don't trust anybody in the government now.
So again, what am I going to say to my manager again? The government. again, the BC NDP doesn't care about their citizens, people with disabilities.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you know how embarrassing it is to keep going. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for a rent increase notice, but I can't pay for it. Well, I'm going to have to pay for it because if I don't pay for it, then I'm evicted. Well, then I guess then I qualify for BC housing because then I'll be freaking homeless. Because you can't just go into BC housing and say, can I go on a waiting list? Can I do this? No, you have to be fleeing violence. Your building has to be sold or condemned. There's so many reasons. I'm not going to go through all the reasons, but you can't just say, well, I want to have cheaper rent.
Yeah.
Their policy states that you can't just do that.
Yeah, and we should say we have our friend MJ, who has pointed out that there's this Canadian BC housing benefit. Apparently, it's a real thing, but as you were saying, you can't just apply for it. Like legislated poverty is not an excuse to apply for it. You need to be basically. MJ was saying that you have to have like 20 kids or something, and be fleeing violence and all kinds of things to even approach to qualify for it. What I want to do, Brent, is I wanted to pay homage to our archive that we have. This is year 4 that we have right now, right? But I think in year 2 we had the honor and privilege of having Gene Swanson on the podcast. Yes. I'm telling you, man, I love that episode, and so I encourage everyone and their dog to go back through our archives and look up Gene Swanson on the on our archives. Like I said, I think it's season 2. And look for the Gene Swanson interview, and she put out a book in 2001. It was called "Poor Bashing: The Politics of Exclusion." Poor bashing: The politics of exclusion, where she's basically saying, legislated poverty is an industry for government. It's a purposeful industry. For provincial governments to set up this kind of legislative poverty, so that's a thing, and we are seeing that, 25 years later, it's still a thing.
Oh, and it's getting a lot worse.
And it's just getting a lot worse because you have people like David Eby that doesn't know how to balance a lemonade stand, let alone a province.
I wouldn't trust them to be a used car salesman. I wouldn't buy a car from them.
And again, I mean, I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but you can bet, you can bet that if Selina Robinson was still the finance minister, or if Carol James was still the finance minister, those two women alone, if either of them was still in the BC NDP caucus, like I said, the reason why they were tapped on the shoulder to be the finance minister is because the only reason why is because John Horgan knew that they were both the smartest people in the room.
They were totally capable of finances.
So of course he's gonna tap them on the shoulder and say, Carol James, you're the smartest person in the room. I'm gonna tap you on the shoulder. Yeah. And then when she had to step down for health reasons, then it was Selina Robinson. You know what? You're the next woman up because you're the smartest person in the room. And ever since Carol James had to leave, and ever since you had David Eby rudely eject Selina Robinson for no reason at all. I have to say, for no reason at all, other than he was threatened by how smart she was. I stick to that. It had nothing to do. It had nothing to do with hatred. Had nothing to do with hatred. It had to do with the fact that David Eby was threatened with how smart she was, and he didn't want to be corrected on, when I'm sure when she said things like, don't do that, David Eby. That's a stupid idea. that's a stupid idea, David Eby. Don't do that. You know, that is the reason why she got turfed. That is the reason why she got turfed. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with hatred, Brent.
Well, especially when some of them were on the board. You know, they were on the board of the Treasury board. You know, I remember hearing about that way back when there was, and so David fired her, and then it was back and forth, and it was just, the war was with a tight entitlement, and
he just does not like to be to admit that he's dumber than anybody else. Like he
doesn't want to admit that when you make a mistake, you say, "Look, I'm sorry for making that mistake." Because John Horgan had said to me in many conversations over the years, he says, "Brent, to be honest," he says, "you know, no politician's 100% correct." I go, I get that. He goes, "Right, John here," he says, I'm not perfect. I mean, I think people like me. I don't know." I said, "Well, I know some people that would actually doubt what I'm saying right now." And he goes, "Well, that's on them. You know, I'm not here to please everybody. And I told you from day one, I'm not going to make everybody happy, and I'm not going to try to, because I know I can't." And he says, I may have the Cracker Jack. He called it the Cracker Jack parade of people that may say, "Hooray, hooray, John." But then I'm going to get the peanut gallery people who say, "No, can't stand you, John. Not going to give you even one look." But at the same time, he says, when I screw up and I make a mistake, I'm going to admit that when I screw up. And he did. He messed up. I remember with the museum.
Yeah. But he walked back on that really fast.
He admitted that. He said, I'm sorry, I messed up. And so he took ownership of it. And when we got a premier right now who just, it's like, oh wow, like doesn't care. You look at your citizens, like when something affects me directly. Like I mean, I remember talking to my neighbors around here too, and like I was just ranting and raving with them the other day, and I was just pissed right off. I said, so if all of you in the building right now, if you weren't to pay your rent, you just say, well, the government, you're disabled or you're a senior or you're low income, and the government taxes you more, and you say, oh, look, I can't pay rent. I mean, you know how many homeless people that are going to have in BC? And then what, you're going to have a premier going, well, you know, they knew that the budget was going to be hard, economic downturns. We're going to blame it on the guy down south, or we're going to blame it on global uncertainty.
It was already bad. It was already bad before.
Already a problem because Selina Robinson was on the Jazz Johal show, and she was talking about that she had forecasted, and then there's a government forecast budgets 3 years in advance, everybody.
Yeah.
But they will look at it every year. Okay, so they'll forecast. That's like me saying, hey Neil, so we're gonna have the Prime Minister on. We're gonna have the Prime Minister on our show. Oh, are we? We're gonna have the Prime Minister on our show. In 3 years from now, we're gonna have the Prime Minister on. Oh, well, Brent, that may not happen. No, we will, because we're going to make it happen. We're going to make the steps to make it happen. So we get to that point each year. Oh, well,
I keep promising that Michael Bublé is going to be on the podcast too.
Same thing. That's like saying, yeah, we're going to have Michael Bublé on. You know what? I mean, if we did, great. But if we didn't, you can't forecast something that you don't know is not going to happen. And so Selina Robertson did see that there was a little bit of softening in the third year. She saw that, and so she put mechanisms in place to protect it the best way she could.
And you know what, Brent? When you see a softening, you don't go and double your double the BC public service.
Exactly.
Which is essentially what David Eby has done, right? He basically doubled the provincial public service.
He's got tons of people.
And he's like, whoops.
Yeah, he's got.
My bad. And again, even with the doubling of the public service, like, has anything really improved?
Nothing's improved
if you look out your window, do you see anything improved out there, Brent? I don't.
It's not worse. I mean, I can tell you in my area around here, I have a little push, like one of those. What are they? I don't know what they're called. They're like little strollers, but they're like little carts, and you hold on. That someone's from the hospital. we saw that. I saw that the other day. Went for a walk. I went, what is that? And it's actually from the hospital. It was in my area, and somebody had dropped it off, and there was a hospital gown that was still there sitting on the bus bench. Somebody had moved it, took it away, I think. But anyway, this other cart was still there, and then I looked, and it was down another road. It was somebody had moved it and took it down another road and parked it down another road. Again, a lot of that's happening. Somebody was sitting outside my door of my building one day. I came out, and, oh, are you here to rent? I said, there's high rent here. I just let you know. Who are you? I'm like, oh, you're not a tenant here. Told me to F off. Told me to F off in my own building, coming out of my own building. And I told him I could get off the property. Just get out of here. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I figured, okay, I'm not going to mess with this because I don't know what kind of situation that this person's in. So I went out another door of my building, and he's still sitting there. Well, I came back and he was gone. Yeah. He was gone. So, I mean, I didn't want to deal with somebody in a different kind of state of mind because I didn't know what I was going to be dealing with. I just told him to get out of here. Because, right, I mean, I have the right as, it's a tenant. If somebody's sitting there and I don't feel comfortable, but then I realize, okay, this person's not responding to me in a way that was legible for me to understand. So I figure, okay, I'm not going to do this, not going to go there on that. And I've seen a lot more of this escalating happening in the area here. They're trickling their way up to my area.
It's a lot.
And I have to deal with it the best way I can because I know I can't change it.
And the costs get passed down to either one, the business owners, or two, customers, or three, people like myself that actually own in a condo or a home. If you get any kind of damage to your condo or any kind of damage to your home, like, guess who pays for it, Brent? I do. It's me. Mm-hmm. I'm the one paying for any damage to, like I said, we had these big gates that we had to install big gates to discourage all this kind of homeless people that were breaking into the underground, and then we had to like cart away like thousands of dollars worth of basically garbage. Like either it was needles, it was like paper, and it was like pieces of wood and basically human trash and human feces, like thousands of dollars worth of that stuff. Oh, terrible. And like we're stuck paying for that.
Exactly.
Because of the idiocy. I just have to say, because of the idiocy of a premier that is like completely, like he's brain dead. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, seriously, Brent, there are kindergarten classes. You can pick, like, by random, any kindergarten class here in BC, and you could ask them, you think it's a good idea to give people drugs? And well, like, what do you think the vote would be in every single kindergarten class in BC if you polled the kids and said, do you think it's a good idea to give people free drugs? Well, and then so if kindergartners know what the answer is, Brent, why the frick cannot David Eby figure that out?
Yeah, and that's
again. I keep saying he is supposed to be a very smart man. He is supposed to be a very smart man. But apparently he is dumber. He is dumber than every single kindergarten class in this province.
Well, exactly, and that's that's why I'm glad that we're talking about the taxing the lower end of the taxation levels in British Columbia. The topic on this is that the dumbest decisions of not taking care of citizens. David Eby contradicted himself when I asked him on CKNW. We'll take care of the most vulnerable. Yeah, I mean, I had asked him about raising the rates at that time,
just
and
get
that was
a job,
in 2024. Yeah, exactly.
Just get a job.
And he doesn't realize that a lot of people within the disability community, maybe they used to be able to do what they used to be able to do. I mean, is society all wrapped around what you can do, what your worthiness is because you have to be, in order to be a citizen of British Columbia, you have to have a job. You can't have a disability. You can't be a senior. I mean, you can't be in low income people because we're going to go after you. You have to be a high end or income earner. And then we're not going to tax you. We're going to go after tax the people at the bottom end. I'm sorry, David, it doesn't work that way. Like, people have disabilities of no fault of their own. They're born this way. Could we change it? Basically, amazingly, they disappear. Disabilities disappear.
Yeah.
No, they don't disappear. You get more disabilities as you get older. You could get to a car accident. You could get hit by a bus. You could be walking across. You could get hit by some guy who's strung out on freaking drugs and doesn't even know where he is, and he's driving all over the road. I witnessed that one day. This guy's weaving in and out like this all over the road.
Yeah.
And then, when I'm talking on people watching the podcast, are listening to the podcast, I'm just waving my hand up and down. That's how a vehicle was driving one day so erratically, cut right in front of a bus driver, oncoming bus coming up the road, and this person veers off to another road. And literally, the bus driver, all I saw was this bus driver put his arm over his face. I mean, those are the kind of people that are driving erratically, some of them, or drinking and driving. I have zero tolerance for people who drink and drive. I had a friend who killed himself drinking and driving. So I have zero tolerance for stupidity.
Yeah.
And I mean, my old friend of mine, this is going back years, but I had just got onto disability at the time, and he said, "Don't worry, Brent, the system will be there to take care of you." Really? Wow.
Yeah.
If he was still alive right now, David, the words that he would have for you right now, man, you would be crying. You'd be crying because he had zero tolerance for bullshit. Right? Yeah. He said, "You take care of your citizens." My mom would rip you a few good shreds.
Yeah.
She used to yell at me because I would actually say, "No, Mom." I said, my doctor says that it's going to be a pension. We talked about that, and she says, "Well, the workers said that they were changing it from a pension over to non." I said, "Well,
look over your head there, Brent. Look over your head."
Pink unicorn. Yeah. And my doctor still had down. No, it's a pension, Brent. I argued with my doctor, and my doctor goes, "Brent, you want me to fill out this goddamn," and I'm sorry for the language, everybody, but I just cover your ears. This is coming from my family doctor. He says, "Brent, do you want me to fill out the goddamn fucking paperwork or not?" He said, "Either you sit down, shut up, and let me do my job. You're wasting my time." And he says, "I don't have any patience for government." He said, "So you're disabled. You are who you are. You can't change who you are. You're just who you are." And so fast forward, a message for the Premier. When you tell me something on the radio, when you were live, I'm going to take care of the most vulnerable. Okay. I know after talking with John Horgan, your friend there, David, I know you and John did not get along because John told me a few things, but I'm not going to expose and throw you under the bus.
Yeah, but we all know the truth already, Brent.
Yeah, so. but he had some big disagreements with you, right? Mm-hmm. John did tell me one thing though. He said, whoever becomes premier in the future, as long as they can just do their job. No, it's not an easy job. I asked him, I said, "How is it?" He goes, "There's a lot of responsibility, Brent, when it comes to be a premier." Right? People think, "Oh yeah, I want to be a premier because it's an easy job." No, it's not. I said, "Do you like your job?" I like being in response as the captain. I love to be there. I don't like all the garbage that goes along with it. But when you take on that responsibility, whoever it may be, you have to do the best you can. You cannot let the job go to your head and let your head swell. Because once I said, "What happened? What do you mean?" Well, if a person lets that job go to their head and figures, "Oh, I'm high and mighty and I can do everything and I don't have to listen to nobody." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, that means their head will swell like a balloon." And then when that happens, John's sense of humor, he was being funny, David, okay? This is nothing toward you. But I go, "What happens?" "Well, what happens, Brent? When you blow up a balloon, what happens? You blow it up and it's really big. You want to pop it, right? So like a water balloon, you want to pop it, you go, bang!
Yeah.
John, oh my God.
Yeah.
And that was
And,
just
and,
John.
and again, to compare the two, to compare David Eby and John Horgan, there is no comparison.
No, I mean,
I
but the
mean,
sense
I
of
mean, John
humor,
Horgan carried that job with such grace.
oh,
He was so graceful in that job. Like,
I miss him so
you
much.
know,
But
by
the sense
far
of humor,
he is by far like one of the best premiers that this
he
province
was
has ever had.
he was just so natural. Like it was just
Yeah.
one of his dad
Like
jokes. in a way.
he was made to be the premier
Yeah.
of the province, really.
Yeah, like I said to him at that time, I said, "Oh man," he goes, "Yeah." He says, "I mean, I said, "Are you referring to anyone in particular?" He goes, "No, I mean, there's a couple people in mind that I think that have that chance that they might be the premier down the road." But and he had said, I think there was Angelica, I think her name was. There was indication that at that time, and then he mentioned David Eby. There was a couple other people that he think that they may have a chance down the line of being premier. I mean, I don't know if he had meetings.
Well,
with,
David Eby made sure that Angelica was
oh yeah, it got tough.
disqualified like, right off the hop. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, would
What
she
a
have
guy,
been?
I have no competition. What?
Yeah.
Wow,
I mean,
imagine that. Yeah, I can just cakewalk now because I got no competition. Wow.
well, you know, and
How
I kinda
convenient.
wonder- I kind of look at that too, and I think, well, like I know she was running in her platform at the time because I was doing Twitter Space at the time, and I remember hearing about her platform about people with disabilities, that she wanted to raise rates or something, and I kind of wonder. I mean, yeah, did she? I mean, even though she said, but I mean, maybe she would.
Yeah.
At the same time, I look at it as the impact of the BC budget 2026, the impact that it has on me personally, and with Sonia. We're going to have to make some really tough decisions.
And
Renting,
again, it all comes back to the debt, right?
it really comes back.
Our provincial debt is just spiraling out of control.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
and that is what's going to hurt people with disabilities more than anything. Is that
oh yeah.
overwhelming debt that's just crushing down on everything?
Well, especially, yeah, exactly. I mean, cost of living goes up. I mean, your rent. I mean, we got a rent increase notice, everybody, one day after the BC budget came out. I mean, that was like a slap in the face. Hearing that, and then I get an email, and I've never got an email from my management company before. Both of us got a carbon copy email, and her phone goes ding, mine goes ding. I'm like, what is that? I figure it was government news. Oh, no, it's from our management company. Well, what is this? Look on it, click on a PDF. There's a PDF on there. Oh, okay. Oh, notice a rent increase. What the heck? And it says, oh, you'll get a carbon copy mailed to you. Well, it was from a manager that we've never even seen on this email before. Who is that? And so, okay, well, I guess they're going to mail something. I guess must be something new. Well, no, it was on our door. It was like 2 days later after that, it was on our door, and it was just hanging there with some tape. So obviously our regular manager must have dropped it off. But that seemed kind of odd, getting it a day after the budget. I mean, we used to get it pretty close to that, but never a day after the budget. And that was, to me, it just felt like a slap in the face. It was already bad enough, $0 in the BC budget for people with disabilities paying high market rent and the high cost of living. And then you get a notice from your management company saying, here you go, here's a 2.3% rate increase. And those numbers keep going up every year. We cut back. We cut back on food. We cut down to one big meal a day. We run out of coffee. We try to stretch it out as far as possible. But you stay energized. Sacrifices. I mean, you got your basic essentials that you still have to pay for. Your toiletries, hygiene. Try to skip showers when I can. I mean, try to
Wow,
save.
you're trying to live within your means, Brent, but David
The
Eby
government,
sure
no.
isn't. That's
Well, they basically tax on the back of the disabled people.
like I said, it's poor bashing. It's going
It
back
is.
to Gene Swanson, the poor
Yeah.
bashing.
Yeah, and there was another part that really stings too, where there's a new PST. I mean, PST's been in BC for, decade. I mean, beyond decades. I mean, I don't know how long it's been in place, but probably since I was even born. But but it's been in place, but it's never been taxed on your basic cable. It's never been taxed on your basic home phone service.
Yeah.
As of October 1st, that takes effect. So that's another tax that people are going to
Both
have.
of those things I have.
Yeah, exactly. And, basic phones. Oh, well, I mean, of course, the finance minister was asked by the media, why are you doing this? Well, it's obsolete. People don't use home phones. I mean, they're going digitalized. Really, wow. Okay, I think a home phone is actually a really good thing to have, because if the power goes out, your home phone is still going to work.
Yeah.
Emergency wise, maybe a person's a cell phone, maybe it's charging up, or maybe they
Well, how many times, I think it was just last year, how many times did the cellular network go down system wide across the whole province?
A lot.
It was like 3 or 4 times, right? They had system outages for like 3 or 4 times in just the last year. They had that.
Oh, it's huge. And the home phone is reliable because it always works.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely. I mean, if you have a cordless one on for your home line, maybe that might be a problem. But if you have just a regular phone that's not a cordless, I mean, you could have them. But I mean, if you have the main base one that's a main phone, it's great. But if you have other cordless ones, they may, obviously, if the power goes out, you can't charge it up. But the battery is going to go. I understand that, but they still work. And I mean, basic cable, the cable prices keep going up. And so the thing is, what we're up against is our service agreement. Part of it is going to be negotiable. If I phone up the cable company and I renegotiate my service agreement, sure, they'd be more than happy to redo it all at once and try to give you a flat rate, a discount down rate. If you don't lock yourself into a 2-year service agreement, you could go month to month, but now you're paying the prime rate.
Yeah.
And that prime rate is way up there. Most people can't afford it. Yeah. So my service provider says, a lot of people will look into like a 2-year service agreement because they can't afford it. The cost of living is high. They get it. But they said they can only go as low as they can go. Like they said, I mean, we could put you on TELUS.
Well, maybe it's because we don't deserve internet or cell phone.
Yeah. And they even said like
TV, we're just supposed to be at home and stare at the wall, maybe.
Yeah, we
deal
with.
What it is, Brett? We're supposed to stare at the wall.
Yeah, look at the 4 walls and don't go anywhere. I mean, I deal with TELUS, right? And they said, I mean, you could look at TELUS for good. However, the bandwidth for our
it sucks.
It's
bad.
Exactly. Yeah. I tried it. I tried that at one time over at Sonia's parents, and they have the equivalent of our technology, what we have, like when I did the podcast there, oh my God, that one day when I was broadcasting, it was glitching.
It's like the Stone Age.
It was circling around on my end.
Yeah.
And I know you heard me, I was there, and I said, I was
feel
sitting
like you have to rub sticks together to get it to work. Yeah.
I was sitting in the kitchen. If I would have been in another, they have some spare rooms there, and if I would have been further down, the connection, it was even for phone wise, it was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, data or Wi-Fi. I mean, we use Wi-Fi there. Is beyond terrible. And I can imagine if I used that at home, even TELUS admitted to me that wouldn't work for you. Podcast wise, you would.
I did try it too. I tried it too for a good while. I gave it the old college try, as they said.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be good.
Yeah.
But it wasn't good.
Well, there was
by a long shot. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a place in Nanaimo that we lived at, and they only had internet 75 speed. Mm-hmm. That's as high as they could go because of fiber optics. They were trying to do upgrades in the area, and that would have been equivalent of what TELUS for Good could offer. And our internet was buffering, and that was way before I had the podcast going. I mean, we were trying to stream stuff on the TV. It was like, whoa. It was just, and it wouldn't even give you pixelization.
Yeah.
And I'd be ranting and raving, going, "Oh, for God's sake, come on, tell us!" And it didn't matter. And we can't offer anything better. And of course, at a time before Rogers came along and actually got Shaw,
it's
merged
just not
together.
good at multitasking. You have one TV on and anything else, it's like
everything else
you're gonna kill it. Yeah.
Well, and Shaw had the same problem in the area. Like they said that they even admitted, they said we're no better than TELUS. They said, you must stay with TELUS because we're no better. They admitted that. The guy I
Yeah.
saw, and he was being honest. He goes, we're not any better. Like it's just the areas and
Yeah.
technology. And if you're if you only do really old school and you're just texting, checking email or anything very basic, then yeah, it's going to work good for you. But again, why should why should a consumer, why should a person with disability have to sacrifice right down to nothing? I mean, we've cut back as far as we can. Like we need to move. We're scared. Like Sonia told me to tell everybody on the podcast, we're scared as hell. Like we're scared shitless because we don't know. Like we talked about, well, maybe trying to get into BC housing. I talked to other service providers in other third party sectors. I know your friend Kent was mentioning.
Yeah.
There's a long waiting list.
Yeah.
Like they don't go through the BC housing part. They go through RGI, but they have a long waiting list. And when I talk to BC housing directly, everybody, and thanks MJ. I know you're going to be watching this. Thank you for bringing that to my attention this morning. Yeah, and I pass that on to Neil so we could talk about this on the podcast today. Very important topic. But when I talked to BC Housing, MJ, just recently, my jaw dropped, and Sonia's jaw dropped. She says, and I'll repeat, or even Sonia might even say in the background when I get to that point of the conversation. So I said, how long is of a wait time? Well, sir, I mean, we can only build there's only so much housing that the government has contractors to build. We're trying to build as fast as we can.
And they just said that they killed $1.4 billion worth of supportive housing in the budget.
Yeah, so now if I were to revisit that conversation with them, they're going to now tell me something completely different. But from what I did find out from them, years, months, years, they said, but when you apply, it's not quick. You just do an application, then you have to wait up to 3 to 4 months before we even get back to you, and that's not with an approval of saying you're approved. No, that's just saying that we've now received your application up to 4 months later. Then your application gets assigned to a worker under BC Housing. They will contact you only when something comes available, and that could be weeks, months, years. And I said, well, okay, so it wouldn't be weeks. Well, no, exactly, sir. I mean, I'm just giving you general comment here. Because it wouldn't be weeks, sir, because there's a long waiting list. We have 84 people for one unit applying right now. I said, 84 per one unit? Yes, sir. My job right now where I'm sitting here is I go through those, and I have 84 on average. Sometimes they're even higher. The demand is so much greater for people wanting to get into RGI housing, right? Yeah. They can't afford the high market rent. I go, well, the government needs to figure this out because I pay high market rent. Oh, you do? Okay, so what is your question? I go, I need to get RGI. You need to get RGI. Well, unfortunately, you can't just go and get RGI. You need to follow the criteria, and you have to, what? I said, yeah, be homeless? Pretty much. Yeah. Right? So the fact is, anyway, the conversation on that is, it got up to the point of how many years, okay? So how many years was it, Sonia? Oh, she doesn't want to say. Okay. 17 years. It could be 17 years. You know what Sonia said, everybody? Oh, she's coughing. She said we'd be dead by then.
Yeah.
Okay. So the fact is that 17 years. I mean, or the number could be greater. He said he could be even greater, but on average, 17 years. He said there was a supply upon demand problem here. He said with the equation, because I said, can you just get to the point? What is the problem? He goes, supply upon demand.
David Eby is the problem, Brent. David Eby is the problem. 11. So we got to sign out. I did want to do a shout out to our lovely audience. The chat has been just rocking today. I haven't really had a chance to do a shout out yet, but there's lots of people in chat. We have Michael from Investigative Research in chat. We have Peter Cunnington in chat. We have Mama Inga in chat.
Mama,
It's the conversation's it's just rocking today.
hi everybody.
So I haven't had a chance to really do a shout out, but yeah, we're glad to see everybody here. We've got lots of people currently watching right now. There's 10 people currently watching right now, which is great. You know,
everybody that's in chat right now.
The one last thing I wanted to say, Brent, you know, on our last podcast, the first thing we talked about was the Tumbler Ridge shooting, and I just wanted to give a quick update about that. You know, Kylie Smith, the family of Kylie Smith, one of the girls that was killed. They wanted to have a funeral for her.
Oh yes, I heard about it.
And it had to be canceled, Brent. It had to be canceled.
Yeah.
Because of online death threats. And these were credible online death threats. Apparently, they were known to the family. And in fact, there's been several families that have been getting these death threats. And it's not just from one or two people. It's from multiple people. So again, multiple people are sending multiple death threats to multiple family members.
Unacceptable.
That just lost their kids. I mean, that to me is
unbelievable.
Disgusting. It's beyond disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
What kind of world do we live in?
It's so that's so warped.
Where a family cannot lay their child to rest because you have some warped people out there that want so bad to spread death threats to a family that just lost their child. I mean, that's just freaking nuts, Brent. Our society has just gone off the deep end. I'm sorry. It just pisses me off so much, Brent.
Yeah, and here's also an update for our listeners.
For Maya Gabella, you can do that one.
Yeah. So exciting news. I guess if we want to say exciting news, I mean, on her journey for recovery, I hope that it's full recovery. I said on the last podcast we were talking about the Tumbler Ridge episode is that I pray every night for her family, and the exciting news is that she's showing a movement. She opened her eye, her right eye. I believe it's her right eye, or is it left eye? Anyway, she opened her eye. I think, her right eye. Yeah. She opened her eye. She still can't open her other eye. They're saying that she could be paralyzed. They don't know yet. But anyway, it's good sign. She's opened her eye. She's showing movement. She's moving her arm. She can move
her arm a little bit.
But the other news is that she had to go in for emergency surgery.
Yeah. So it's a bunch of hills and valleys a little bit, Brent, right?
Yeah.
But it was one positive thing, and
But it was a success surgery. They had to drain the fluid from her brain.
Yeah.
I guess because the bullet had gone through, it had lodged and it had fragmented and this that. So I guess there was fluid buildup. However, it was successful. It was amazing. The amazing team that they have there that's working with her. The Children's Hospital.
Children's Hospital is amazing. Yeah.
I know. I spent some good time at the Children's Hospital when I was just a little toddler.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember. I was too young. But I do remember just kind of little flashes of different images of being there, and I remember Sonia having to go there for as an adult. But as an adult, I mean, Children's Hospital, one of her specialists for her heart condition works also at the Children's Hospital, but she does surgery at another hospital. And we had gone in there because she had an appointment. I said to her, I recognize this place. She goes, 1 year. And I said, yeah. I said, I remember as a kid, I just vaguely remember, okay. And so people think, well, Brent, why were you there? I was there because of my eye condition. Mm-hmm. I was taken to the BC Children's Hospital for observation and testing and operation too. So I spent some good time at the Children's Hospital, but as a kid, you don't remember every single little thing. Sometimes you do things that stand out in your life. But one thing I do recognize going forward is advocacy doesn't stop, right?
Yeah.
So I really want to encourage everybody to really do the best you can with a lot of difficult financial situations that you're going to have to deal with going forward. Cutbacks best way you can. But what I do encourage everybody to do, I want you to write your MLA or phone your MLA. Phone your MLA's office, phone the Minister of Finance. Look on social media. I'm sure other people, they may or may not get the hold of the phone number. I encourage you to contact the Premier's office, or Minister of Finance in BC. Let them know how you feel. Go to your local MLA. If the Minister of Finance is your local MLA or the Premier is your local MLA, contact them. Go into their constituency office. Let them know, or your local MLA where you live. Let them know what this budget has meant to you and the impacts it's had on your life and your family.
And again, this budget hasn't been approved yet. It will be.
Yeah.
It will be subject to a confidence vote, actually. So
Right.
so that will be interesting as well.
It will, because there is a clause that's actually in that budget, everybody. And a lot of people didn't know this. Even our friend, our good friend Rob Shaw.
Yeah, he's the one that found out
didn't,
too.
Yeah, and he didn't even know. He said it was stupid. Like there was something in the budget, and it was about the merit.
Yeah.
The merit commissioner.
They ended the merit commissioner
They
position
opted-
or
yeah, they-
office. So because they did that, now the budget will be subject to a confidence vote.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't pass, the government will fall and we'll get an election. I'm almost secretly hoping it'll happen, because I think it'll be freaking hilarious if that's the case.
And you know what? People will say, well, what happens with that budget? Well, then the budget becomes nothing.
Yeah, they'll reset it and do it again. Yeah.
And then another government will come in and they'll redo that.
Yeah.
But so I really encourage everybody in the meantime, let them know. Let your MLAs know that, or who your member of parliament, your constituency office, that's what they're there for, is to speak how you feel. If you feel that your voice is not being heard by a letter, an email, I mean, go there in person. Basically let them know that the budget that came out is unacceptable. If that's how you feel, like I can't speak for you, how it impacts your life, because I can tell you around my community, people are beyond pissed, beyond. And I tell you, they said if there was an election right now, they would not be voting for the NDP.
No.
I had some real hardcore people who voted for the NDP for decades. They said never again, never again.
Yeah.
It's a very unfortunate, because it's John Horgan's legacy. He built he wasn't perfect in every single aspect. I mean, no premier is, but he did the best he could. Mm-hmm. But it's the legacy of the brand of the NDP. We want to see the brand get completely decimated?
They're going to get down to like 2 MLAs, just like
the way
did
that
in like the 2000s.
Yeah, the way it's going.
It was 2000, 2001 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2001. Because people are going to take it out on the party. They're not going to take it out on the MLA. And again, I want people to understand.
And David Eby won't care, because he'll already be collecting his pension.
His lifetime pension. He'll walk away. And
he'll be sitting pretty. It's like, oh, good, I destroyed the province. Good, I destroyed the province, but I don't care, because I'm collecting my pension now.
Say I didn't care about people with disabilities.
I didn't care about it. I just cared about me. I just cared about me.
I didn't care about seniors. I didn't care about people with disabilities, people in low income.
Yeah.
It is the people in low income that are going to get taxed to the hill too. They're going to say, oh yay, minimum wage went up, and then they're going to get taxed on like a higher taxable level.
Yeah.
So they're going to come out even less on what they're making.
Yeah.
So
again, when John Horgan said that he cared about the province, and he cared about the people of the province, and he cared about the citizens of the province, you believed him. Like you believed every single word.
No, because he was trying. Because he tried really hard.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I don't believe David Eby as far as I can throw him. I don't, and I never have. I haven't for like, I don't know how long it's like 10, 11, 12, 13 years, whatever it's been. I have not trusted the guy. I've not really respected the guy. and I have good reason to not like or respect the guy.
Mhm.
Like he's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah,
To not,
I noticed that I noticed that the BC Green Party had mentioned after the budget. They mentioned about people with disabilities, low income people, seniors. You know, and I really, before we end the podcast, again, I'm going to emphasize again before we sign off. So, any of the political parties you're watching our podcast, which I know a lot of you are, and you know, I kind of at first I was wondering, are they really watching the podcast? Yep. And of course, we know. I know that they're watching it.
well, sometimes you'll hear them repeat things that have come from our podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
So you know that they are. You know, because I'm
what
going like I heard something. Well, not just one thing. It's been multiple things I've heard them repeat. Them when we just said that on the podcast.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing I really want to hammer home to it is, and this is nothing. It's nonpartisan. I'm not taking sides of any certain political party saying he said, she said, who's right, who's wrong. I really, and even it goes to the media, right? Mm-hmm. This is all about just understanding a certain fundamental thing is to recognize our citizens. Okay, like there's always classifications, like, and we talk about this, Neil, all the time on the podcast. Well, you can have subsidized housing, you can have high market rent. You're a senior and you can have SAFERs. Oh, you're a senior. Oh, you don't qualify for SAFERs because your household income's too much, so you can't get it. So what I'm trying to say here is, when you're talking, you know, and I know the MLAs, I know you get your scripts made up and in advance, and you'll kind of copy different things and tweak it up accordingly how you want to say, and that's fine. That's nothing wrong with that. But the BC, and again, this is nothing, not taking sides, but BC Greens have demonstrated they talk about people with disabilities. Mm-hmm. So if they can do it, I want all the parties to start saying people with disabilities, seniors, working class families, small businesses, because what I've seen lately is seniors, working class families, and small businesses are hurting very immensely.
I'll give you one example, Brent, and only one example. Like, I know for a fact my parents have been very loyal voters of the BC NDP for many years, and again, like I don't count myself among those. Like, the last time I voted NDP was only for John Horgan. That was the last time, and not since then. But my parents have been very loyal supporters of the BC. I can guarantee you, ironclad guarantee you, that the next election that runs around, they're not going to be voting for BC NDP, because if only for the one reason of the property tax thing of punishing senior citizens for deferring their property tax.
Yeah, before we sign up, can you maybe describe to people how that's going to impact people, that deferral?
Well, it's huge. I mean, not only has the rate of borrowing or interest rate has gone from it was 2.9%. It's now going to be 6.9%. So from 2.9% to 6.9% interest penalty, and it's compounded interest every single month, Brent. So it's gone from 2.9% non-compounded to 6.9% compounded every single month. So again, for the finance minister Brenda Bailey to say, well, we have all these rich seniors that we're abusing that of like deferring the property tax. I'm sorry, I have yet to meet one senior citizen who is like rich.
That's like
I don't know one senior citizen, Brent, that's rich.
They're not, and that's like a new tax.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so my parents, just one example, my parents are going to be hurting. There's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of senior citizens that are going to be hurting from that.
Oh yeah, huge,
And,
huge.
I mean, you're literally going to see senior citizens out on the street
Yeah,
because of it, Brent.
exactly.
And I mean, and the government's going to go. Oh well, oh well, our bad.
Because oh well, there's more to do. We need to fix this up.
We have our pensions. We have our pensions, so it's okay.
Yeah. And I look at the budget 2026 now, and I forecast when they do 3 years in advance. So the budget, the way it is now, is so bad. I mean, and I don't want to burst people's bubble of losing, confidence of, their well-being of, but don't project any increase in the BC budget for years in BC. So that's why we need to either hold the government accountable, let people rate your MLA, phone them, go and see them, let them know it's not okay, and we can overturn this budget. We can overturn their ideological thinking. This is the most stupidest budget I've ever seen.
Yeah.
If I could grade this budget,
moronic,
I would give it an F minus.
I'd give it an M for moronic.
Or
M for moronic.
Or even G for garbage. I file it on G, garbage. Garbage. Anyway, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in today. If you love the live,
remember we're on track for our 5th credit downgrade, Brent.
Yeah,
our
is that congratulate ourselves for
credit downgrade? Thanks to David Eby, because he's the one that started the whole ball rolling of all the credit downgrades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
now it's going to be our 5th consecutive one.
Yeah, it's going to be really bad for the BC economy. It's tanking really bad. Everybody enjoying the live streams here. I think we're going to be doing more of these.
We'll try to do more of them. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I still like doing the little ones that are packaged, because it's nice to kind of be able to edit them a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, we do a few pre-records here and there. If we have a guest coming on, they want something, or there's a quick little segment, we'll do a little pre-record. Or if there's an announcement that we want to throw it out there rather than doing a live segment, we'll pre-record it, we'll pop it out there. Again, everybody, thanks for tuning in. A little bit longer of a podcast, again, but there was lots to dive into, and a lot of.
We always say we're going to go short, and we never do.
We never do, everybody. But it's definitely lots to dive into, and I think about everybody. And I want the best for everybody's well-being, especially if you're low income, people with disabilities, seniors. I hear you. Come on to the podcast.
And again, continued prayers for Tumbler Ridge as well.
Yeah,
I think it's just so stupid that families cannot lay their children to rest because there's death threats going on. That's just nuts to me. Like.
Yeah, and did you hear the also out in out in Mexico? That was something.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, another podcast, and we're going to talk about that another time. But I'm glad that the outcome turned out good.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for tuning in as usual. If you like what the content and that you're viewing and hearing. As usual, if you're able to support the channel, please do so. If you can't, we understand. Times are tough. We get it. Definitely.
I think Michael Bublé could afford to support the podcast.
A little Timbits, maybe a cup of go there, Michael.
Throw us a couple Timbits, Michael.
Buy us some more mugs, Mike. Yeah.
And we're not talking about Michael from Investigative Reports.
No.
The Investigative Research Council. We're talking about Michael Bublé.
I think there could be some big rallies coming up soon too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and the recall campaign. The recall campaign for David Eby is coming up in April. Yeah.
Oh yes. We can't forget that one. Well, yeah, we'll have to dive into more of that next time. Yeah, there's definitely a lot that are moving pieces of the puzzle, so stay tuned as we cover all that on our upcoming podcasts as we see things as they develop. If there's any kind of breaking news in between time, things that we need to talk about, we'll launch it out. But if you want to be a guest on the show, talk about
here, there, and everywhere, Brent.
Yeah, we're everywhere. But definitely reach out to us and talk about how the budget has impacted your life. I mean, your stories get out there. The politicians here,
Yeah.
And it gives them more ammunition to throw it against the actual current government that's in power.
Yeah.
Thanks again, and have a great day, everybody. Take care.
Cheers, everyone.
And give everybody a hug.